Hey guys, what's up? Shin05T5 here, coming at you with another drawing video. And today's video we're going to be drawing Korra from The Legend of Korra. And this video was requested by Otis, so thank you so much for the request. You actually sent me a request over on Instagram, which I don't normally get requests on that. It's usually in the YouTube comments. But I do appreciate the request. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. And yeah, not much else more to say. We're just going to be drawing Korra here. And, oh, before we start, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. That really does help me out. But, yeah, other than that, let's get our pencils ready, and let's jump in. Alright guys, so what we're going to do is we are going to start off by drawing a nice, decent-sized circle. This is going to be kind of like the start of her head here. And then once we got that down, we can kind of draw in the crosshairs, which will start with a line going kind of down the middle like this, kind of on like a 3/4 view. So I'll go down like that. And then the eye line will be something like this. It's going to be on like a tilt too, like a slight tilt. And then once we got that down, we can kind of gesture in a rough head shape by extending, or starting from the end of this line and just kind of extending it out like this. And again, when we're drawing these shapes, draw them very, very light. Just because these are just guidelines. This is just kind of me putting down some shapes so I know where to draw stuff in the future. And then we can get like a nice kind of circle for her ear over here. Get a nice big circle for where her eye is going to be here and then there. Now that we got that done, we can kind of gesture in her body here, which we can get the neck, which is just this kind of tube going down this way, like that. And then we can get a nice big circle for her shoulder. And you can get kind of like a shape that looks something like this. So you get like an oval here, and then just kind of connects. And it'll kind of connect in up here, like that. We'll get another circle for her shoulder, which will be right about there. Actually, this could be a little bit higher. I'm going to move it a little bit up there. And then right here, we're just going to get a line going down and then over for her arms because they are going to be like cross-armed. And we get a nice big oval here, kind of like a circle that goes kind of like into like a spike there, like that for the forearm. It's kind of the same thing here, where we're going to get like a nice circle and just kind of goes into like a spike there. And we'll get another oval right there. And then what we could do is zoom out a little bit and gesture in parts of her hair. So basically there's going to be like this front part that goes something like this. And then there's the back part of her hair. And then we're going to get like a little oval here. And then the rest of her hair kind of like goes out around here. And then here we're just going to get another chunk of hair right about there. Get a little oval for where the, I guess it's like a braid? I don't exactly know what that is. And then more hair is going to go out there. And then we're going to get like another little tube here. And then kind of like her ponytail. Like that. So this is pretty much good for the gesture that we need. We kind of have all the shapes blocked out. And if you have this as a start, the rest shouldn't be too bad. So I'm going to zoom in here, and we'll just start with her face. I personally like to start with the nose. So now that I know where these two eyes are, what I'm going to do is start right about here. Kind of follow the curve of the circle here. So I'm just going to curve it down. Kind of go up about here, round it off, and then go down. And another trick to do in the nose is once you got this shape, you could start from like the tip there and draw like a real light line going down like that. And then that'll show you where like the nostril should be. And it should be this nice little black dot right there. And now that we got that done, we can actually draw on her mouth, since her mouth, her mouth is going to be right up here. It's going to be higher than it really should be because she's doing kind of like her shit-eating grin that Korra does. So what we're going to do is start right about here, kind of like almost directly under the nose. And basically what we're going to do is start right about here, just draw a line going down, and then kind of curves across, and then kind of curves up like that. That's a little bit too extreme on the curves here. Just draw it a little bit lighter. Like this, and then you're going to draw a nice little curve line here and here at the edges. And also you could erase like a little bit in between here, extend it out a little bit further, like that. And then you get a nice little curve line right underneath for her lip. And now that we got that done, what we can do, as I'll actually zoom out a little bit, is kind of get her head shape in. So our head shape's going to start here, and you're just going to get a nice little curve line like this, and it's going to curve up and then kind of in right about there. And then here it's going to curve out where her cheekbone is, and then kind of dip down and then round off where her chin is, and then just kind of go up like that. So it should look something like that. So we're just kind of rounding this off and extending it out just slightly. But now that we got that done, we can draw in her eyes. So her eyes are pretty simple. This is about where they should be, here and here. And what you want to do is start with a nice curve line, like that. And then it's going to go down and then over. And then what you want to do is kind of get like a curve line that kind of curves up. You don't want it to go like curve down. You want to curve it up just slightly and very slightly. Something like that. And then I'm actually going to angle this line down a little bit more. So you should get a shape that looks something like this. And now we're going to give it a little bit of depth by just drawing a line that hugs this line very closely as it goes down and then in like that. And then you could shade all this in black. It's pretty much like her eyelashes, really. Like that. And then for her eye, it's just this nice little curve line curving up like this. We're going to get a nice little circle right there for a light reflection. And then a nice big circle right here, right in the middle for her eye. And then the next eye that we're going to get is going to be right around here. And pretty much the same thing. We're going to start here and get a nice kind of curve line going down like that. It's going to curve in, then curve up a little bit like so. Then we're going to get it a little bit thicker by drawing a line, curve it in like that. And then this eye is going to go right off here. And we're basically going to just draw a nice little circle like this. Little light reflection and then a bigger circle right there. Like so. And now that that's done, we can zoom out a little bit and draw in her eyebrows. So her eyebrows are going to be right about here. To get them right, you can kind of almost draw like a big circle around the eye like this, and it'll show the bottom of the eyebrow. So it'll go over like this. It'll be thicker on this side, so there's going to be a line going up. And then as it goes down to the point, it gets thinner. So there's that one, and then this one will kind of follow this line. Like so, and then go over and up like that. So we got pretty much her face done now. Now that we got that done, we can actually start drawing in her hair. And I actually like starting off with her braid here. So it's going to be right about here, and what we're going to do is just draw a nice curve line kind of right under the eye here. And then we're just going to draw a line going down and down. And you can make it kind of long, so it should be about that long. And then we're going to get a curve line going here. It's going to go down, curve around like this, and go up. And then here we're going to start right under this line, go up, around, and in like that. And since we did that one, I'm going to jump over and do this one too. So here it'd be kind of like a straight line going across, so it'd start right about here. Go down, over, and this one's going to jut out a little bit, so it's going to kind of go out like that. And then here we'll get a curve line, and then a line wrapping around it like that. And now I've got these done, the hair is kind of easy because the hair kind of goes off of this. So basically what you're going to do is get a nice kind of curve line that curves up like that. One that kind of goes out and then over like this. It'll intersect the eyebrow a little bit too, but that's fine. And then right here, we'll start with a line going down. It's going to curve in and just kind of curve into like a spike here like this. And that's going to go up. And then from here, we're going to get a line kind of connecting in like that. And then we're going to start a line that hugs this line very closely. And it's going to wrap around, and then you're basically going to get like this weird kind of shape right here. There's kind of like a gap in her hair. And then here we're just going to draw a line going out, kind of over, and then up like that. And now that that's done, before we jump into like the back of the hair, I'm actually going to just draw this part of the hair now. Like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like the front ponytail. I don't know hair. So we're going to go down, and basically what you can do is just get kind of like a line that curves out, kind of goes in, kind of bunches up around here. You get like a spike, and then you kind of want to go out, in, and then just kind of come out like that. So a shape that looks something like that. Doesn't have to be exactly this, but if it's close, then you're good. And we're just going to refine the shape a little bit more. So like here, I'm going to extend this line into it, and then this line's going to go out. And then when you get to the end of the hair here, it's just going to kind of splinter off into like a few spikes. And then maybe like right here, we'll have a spike going off as it goes up like that. So that's pretty good for that hair. And when we got that down, we could draw in the ear, which the ear is going to be right here. And it's just going to be a curved line going down, over, have a little bit of a bump in it right here, like that. And then we'll start with a curved line over here. And then we'll get a line going down and over, kind of go up, in, and over like that. And now, since we got that done, I will, we'll get this part of the hair first. So this part of the hair is not bad. We'll start with a line going down, kind of go over, and then in like this. So it has like a little bit of a break there. So it goes over, kind of bumps in like that. And now for the rest of her hair, it's pretty simple. It's going to go up, kind of straighten out here, and then kind of curve in. And then kind of where like this one's going to go, you're just going to get like a nice long kind of bump like that. And then here what we're going to do is get kind of like a straight line. It's going to bump up into like this oval that we have here. Then it's going to go down, kind of over, and then in like this. Kind of go in where the ear is. And then here we're going to start a little bit before this line ends and draw a little curve line going in like that. And then maybe like a little spike here going off. And then for this shape, what we can do is draw in basically what we did here. We'll just have a line going up, kind of round off here, go down, and then we're going to get that line that goes around it like this. And then I'm going to save this ponytail for well, it doesn't really hit anything, so I guess we could do it right now. I think it was if it was overlapping the shoulder, then but it really doesn't. So pretty much what you want to do, start here, and very similar to like what we did with like this shape. Pretty much going to draw that shape again. Have a little bit of sway and like some bumps in there. Like that. And then all you want to do is kind of like break off some spikes here like this. So we'll get one. Then this hair is going to go over. And then when you get to the end here, it's going to go off into these kind of like longer spikes. Maybe have one kind of going off here like this that follows the hair. And then we'll have one kind of like intersecting it like that. Give it a little bit of oh, what's the word for it? When you break the shape. Well, we're getting a little bit of overlap, but there's a word for that. I can't think of it now. I only went to 1 year in art school. I can't remember all the words. So that's pretty much it for her head. Oh, actually, we could do this because it's in front of the shoulder or arm here. So basically what you're going to want to do is draw a line, and basically just draw this shape again for the third time. Like that. And then, like we did before, just kind of break it off into spikes here. And here we'll just get like a little spike going out there. Yeah, something like that should work. So now they got pretty much her head done. I think this is the hardest part. So once you nail this, the rest of the body should be pretty alright. So we will see a little bit of her neck, like kind of right here. This is actually a pretty good spot for it. But we'll start with her neck and kind of move our way down. So we could draw on her clothes. So we don't really see it because the hair is overlapping, but there would be a line that goes across here. Kind of gets up to here. It goes down, in, and then around like that. And then we just have a line hugging it like this. Also, you would get a shadow right underneath her jaw here, like that. And you can kind of shade this in. Helps. Honestly, this shadow really helps make the face pop out more. So I definitely suggest adding it. And then here, what we're going to do, since we don't really see it, the neck would go down and kind of bump in to where it like curves in like this. And then it would just kind of curve down. See, this shape's kind of weird, just in general. And also, we have to move the shoulder down. I was right the first time. It should be about here. So this shape's kind of weird because it curves out, but it goes down. So to draw that in, you just have a bump over, kind of go in about there like that. So you kind of want it bumping up, but as it goes down. And then kind of right before this line ends, we're going to start with a line going over here. And then this is just going to go directly into her shoulder, which would be this nice round shape. And it'll kind of curve in like this. And then bump out for like her tricep. Like that. Actually, that's a way too... One part that's hard about drawing like arms and stuff, especially like this one, you want to keep these like bumps in there to show where like the muscles are, but you have to be very subtle about it. So something like that. That looks much better. So we got that done. And then once we got this line in, we can kind of gesture in the bicep here by drawing a little curve line going in right about here. And then we can kind of draw the forearm. So the forearm is going to be a bit lower than what we have. It'll start kind of like right about here off the paper. But it would kind of be a shape that kind of curves up. And then over. And it's gonna, the hand's going to fold in here like that. And then here it would kind of curve out and kind of go in right about there like that. And then we'd also get the fingers that are going to be right about here. But we'll start with the forearm here because that's kind of in front of everything. So what we want to do here is draw a nice little curve line going across the forearm like that. And then we're going to bump it out, go over, and we're pretty much going to follow this until we get to here. And then when we get to the wrist, it's going to bump out into like a little spike, go over, and then curve down like that. Here it's kind of the same thing. It's just going to hug this shape, and it's going to kind of curve in where the wrist bends, there like that. And now the tricky part here is now we start the other shoulder. So it's pretty much going to be this shape. Unfortunately, again, it kind of goes off the page. So what you want to do is kind of go curve line. Then it's going to straighten out around here and then kind of curve in like that. And here what we would do is we'd actually see a little bit of like what this line is here. And then we'd also get another line like that. And then we'd get a curve line that kind of intersects these two. And then kind of same thing over here. We're going to get a nice curve line that hugs this right here. And then we get a curve line going in to that to show like the muscle. And then here this line's going to kind of curve in like this. And then I'll erase kind of this portion of it. Like so. And then since we're here, we're actually just drawing this arm. So right here, the like shoulder, or going into the shoulder, we'd go down and then over. This is going to kind of bump out, kind of go down, and then we're just going to go pretty much out, round it off, and then connect into the elbow here. Like that. And then what you do here is you would erase this line up until there, and then just kind of darken in that like so. I'll darken in this line. I can actually erase this line as well. Erase that line. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. So now that that's done, we can actually just finish off her like upper body here before we get into like the fingers. So what you want to do is draw in her collarbone by drawing a nice little U, kind of like right under this shape, like a nice little curve line like that. And then we're just going to get a line going across like this, and then this line will go up and across to about there. And then just to draw on the rest of her shirt, it would just be a curve line curving down there like that, another little curve line going down. And then here we'd get a curve line that wraps up around there. Same thing over here, just get a line hugging that one. like so. And now we could draw in her fingers, which aren't that bad. Basically, you're going to get a series of 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And they kind of go in like this arc. But what we're going to do is start actually with the middle finger. So I'm going to start right here at where the tip's going to be and draw a line going over, kind of curve it over, and then in about here. And if you want to, you can kind of draw like a series of circles where the knuckles are going to be, if that helps. But then what you just do is draw a line, kind of curving in like that. But then here what we're going to do is pretty much draw this shape again, just going up, over, and then in, and just connecting that one. And there's going to be a little bit of a gap in between this finger and this one. For the pinky, it's just going to be this little curved line like that. Zoom in just a little bit more. And then this finger is just a line going up, across, and then up, like so. And I will erase that, because it's very sketchy. And just redraw this in. So we're just going to go up, over. See, the hard part is like the fingers kind of go off of one another, so you kind of have to draw like one finger first and then draw in the rest off of that one. So you just kind of like pick a finger. That's why I start with the middle one, because we see the most of it. And then the index finger kind of just goes off. Then you can draw these two. Then I'll just darken in this line and these lines again. And then last thing we can do to finish her off is draw in her like water tribe armband here. And it's very simple. You just draw 2 parallel lines that kind of wrap around like her bicep here, and then we'd see 1 and then 2 like that. And then what you do is draw kind of like these long kind of like triangles. So you got 1, we got 2, this one will kind of intersect the finger a little bit. And then in between them, you're going to get like a little circle here, here, and then you'd see one a little bit right there in between the fingers. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much how you draw Korra from the Legend of Korra. I'm not missing any details, am I? I don't think so. No, I think we got it all. So I will take the sketch that I just did and put it up there. I will take the inked version I did and put it up there beforehand. So that's the one I did beforehand, and then there's the sketch that we just did. So, yeah, that's how you draw Korra from the Legend of Korra. Little complicated. Again, drawing like a full-on like humanoid character usually takes a little bit. So I definitely think this one's a little bit more difficult than like my normal how to draw videos. But I think if you practiced, you watched the video a couple times, I think you'd be able to get Korra down. So, yeah, anyway, thank you again, Otis, for the request. I do appreciate it. If you guys have requests, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And tune in on Sunday, and hopefully your request pops up. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye. Later.